I am dancing, you guys, because this is an exciting show. Hey, everyone. Get my words out. Welcome to Monica May's One Take Live. This is Music Month, Black Music Month to be more exact, and we've got an exciting show for you. But before we start, please help us spread the word. Tap like and click the share button. Invite your family and friends and followers to be a part of this conversation. One Take Live, as you know, streams on Facebook and all of the most popular and familiar streaming platforms. All right. So I had to go back in some time. I had to go back to when I was a DJ, 102 Jams, Star 94.5, of course. But in order for us to come full circle, I went to a brother who is a friend as well and pulled him out and said, please, let's wrap up Black Music Month and do a conversation together. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome my brother, Rob. How you doing, honey?
So grateful. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Monica. It's good to see you. Yeah.
All right, just take the miss off because it makes me feel even older.
So sorry. It's just a respect thing. My mom taught me well.
Love
Yeah.
it.
You can
I
be
love
younger
it.
than me and I still say miss. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. I
It's a
don't know
bad
if you
habit to
know.
break.
No, it's not a bad habit, my
Yeah.
love. I just wanted to let you know it was okay to just say Monica.
Monica, you got it.
All right. So when we talk about Black Music Month, of course, I had to go in my closet and put some sparkle on just for you, Rob. Is
Yeah.
that okay?
That's totally fine. I'm grateful. Yeah.
All
I
right.
love it.
Yeah, thank you. So the spelling of your name has always intrigued me. Where does that come from? R capital A B. Where does that come from, Rob?
Well, when I was doing the artist thing, which I still do, but the coaching and arranging thing has kind of taken over everything. Um, the guys at the label, Louis Bell, who's out of
Mhm,
Orlando, and Barry
mhm.
Myers or Barry Dufay, that started the independent label Rip It Records. And
Yeah.
Louis was the grandson of Jack the Rapper, yeah, who used to
Yeah.
have a big convention here in Atlanta, and they
Yeah,
decided to
yeah,
start
yeah.
an independent label. And I was the first artist off of the label, and we was trying to come up with something cooler than Robert, you know,
Uh-huh.
although Robert means star, shining star. But
Okay.
I was even kind of wanting to do something different. I wanted to do Rolando, and believe it or not, I was trying to come up with Florida and make Florida cool. Now we see
Yeah.
Florida later on. Yeah, I was like, I
Okay.
was on to
Yeah.
something. But I was driving in a car with a guy that was my day-to-day manager, and his name was Mike Berry. And we were sitting off of Hiawassee, getting ready to turn on Silver Star, and there was a Saab in front of us, the car Saab. And I
Ah,
was like, Saab? I was like, Mike, what is that car? How do you say that car name? And he's like, Saab. I was like, there it is, Saab Rob. And so, of
uh-huh.
course, I went back to Barry and Lewis, and I was like, yo, we can spell it like this, like the car, Saab Rob. And then, of course, Barry, being first cousins to Malcolm X, and being a Muslim, he was like, yo, we could do this. We could drop some science. We can get the Ra from this and the Abba
Mhm.
from that.
Ah.
Put it together. Yeah. So they came up with capital R, capital A, lowercase b, but I came up with the Rob with two A's. Yeah.
Wow. Let me tell you something. I don't know how many people would have the heart to even ask you that, but that was the first thing that came to my mind when we were pulling music
Yeah.
and we all had to go back to our programmers like, yo, how do you really say this brother's name?
Rob.
And it was simply Rob.
Yep. Simply Rob.
Simply
Stop
Rob.
Rob.
Let me talk about this first, is that he is from Orlando. He's homegrown.
Born and
Went to
raised.
Evans High School,
Yeah.
and he has never forgotten his roots. In
Yeah.
fact, he and I were both honored in Paramore not too long ago at a big event there, and it was so good. It was like a homecoming, really,
It
for
was.
everyone.
It
Yes.
was. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So I thank them for doing that.
I think I just came back from South Africa, so I was a little jet lagged. Yeah, from South Africa, then drove. I like to drive on the highway. It's really relaxing for me, especially with all the flying, traveling I do all the time. So I drove home for the award show, which was really, really awesome. It was great to see you. Great to see Thrill from the
Yeah.
'69 Boys being honored as well, and everyone else that was there. It was awesome. Awesome event. Yeah.
And they do it every year, and there are certain folks that have had the distinguished honor of being recognized that way. So it feels good. You can receive all the Grammys, Emmys, or whatever
Yeah,
award in the world, but when your home folk really
right.
recognize you, that makes you feel good.
That
So as we delve into Black Music Month, I do want to remind you that there are so many artists out there who are trying and trying and trying. But
that's
when did music really become important for you, Rob? Did you just
that's
wake up one day? Were you in high school? What happened?
well, I was really young. I remember my friend Corey Johnson that me and our families we went to this church over there off of Ivy Lane, Elder Hicks. It was this church, little small church right there. And
Okay.
he even remembered that my mom used to have me get up and sing a little solo song and during testimonial service. And then, I vaguely remember some of that. And she's got a couple pictures with my older sister Diane, who is actually the drummer and still can drum. And it started in that space basically. And then as I got into school, I was kind of a little quiet at that point until around fifth or sixth grade. My mom, she had us singing in the choir at Malone Memorial Institutional Church of God in Christ, which was also off of Ivy Lane. And Mother Margaret Hester, who was the choir director, and her Mother Eason, her son and
Yeah.
daughter John and Lawan, they would be over the choir. And sometimes I would get to church and they would give me a Walkman to go in the back of the church and learn a
Uh-huh.
song and come out and sing it. Yes, I was doing that kind of thing
Wow.
from time to time, which was pretty cool. And it was very musical. The church was very inspirational and the starting point for me with that. And in sixth grade, graduating from Ivy Lane, that was when We Are the World was really big at that
Mhm.
time. Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie. You can pull up the documentary and look at it. It's really informative for those that are actually getting in the industry to see how
Mhm.
bringing superstars like that together in one space to create something good to raise money to help out a great cause. And that was the big song at the time. And so the choir teacher was giving parts out and she
Mhm.
gave me a couple of the hardest parts in the song, which was a Stevie Wonder solo, the not Lionel Richie, but Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, and a couple other parts in there. And I was like, yo, this is something I can get down with. And then, of course, when I went on to middle school at Meadowbrook Middle School, or Meadowbrook Junior High, as it was called back then, they put me in the band, and I didn't really want to be in the band if I couldn't play the drums. So I asked my mom to get me over to chorus, and I got in the chorus class and just fell in love with anything music. And along with high school at Evans, we had Dr. David Martin, who was over the choral program, who was very inspiring. He was like a second father to me and my brother that went to school there. And anything that was revolving around anything musical, he would support it. So if there was a pep rally, I was always getting a group of guys together. One
Uh-huh.
of my great and closest friends since childhood, I mean, like growing up, like first grade, second grade, Quentin Jenkins and his whole family of brothers and one sister, Tony Collins, Tut, all of them. Me and him, we did a little group together, and we would come up there with these cool different names for our group. And one time we were Maximum Impulse. One time we were Spectrum. We was just trying to figure it out. And anytime they would host these pep rallies, we got to perform. And Dr. Martin would let us use the school's sound system for the choir as long as we took care of it. And I guarded it with my whole entire life to get it back to him safely. And we would perform
Mhm.
for the pep rallies. And that just ignited something really special as far as me wanting to do this. And then as it got closer to my junior/senior year, I was living with my girlfriend at the time while we were putting each other through high school, just going through some things at home.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we was doing that, and I was outside practicing for a pep rally. Me, a friend of mine named Tracy, and a couple other guys, and that's when I ran into a guy named Tyrone Wilson, who
Mhm.
him and his best friend Cameron, they stopped by and asked
Ooh,
us could we sing, and I was the only one that could sing, but my other guys in the group could dance very well, and he asked me would I like to be in their group, and at that time we was trying to figure out a name for the group, which we wind up calling ourselves Tracy Ray. I
okay.
still don't know what that means because my name ain't Ray. It's just Rob. Yeah, and then There was no Tracy in the group. I gotta call him and ask him, what did that really
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
That was our
And
name.
both of those guys are still around. Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. And what was awesome was they introduced me in the Ty introduced me in the world of a lot of other singers that I never really listened to.
Mhm.
Like one of my heroes was is Charlie Wilson of
Yeah.
the Gap Band. And when we'll get into some of that down the road,
Mhm,
but I was able
mhm.
to coach Uncle Charlie, which was a dream come true of mine. He was a legend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh wee, all of that stuff. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty great. But along with that, you know, Ty introduced me into gave me my first opportunity to sing in the studio where I actually got to hear what I sound like in
Mhm.
the studio. And I didn't think it sound good as what I was hearing because the microphone don't lie. And when
Yeah.
they play back, I was like, ooh, that's not good. I got to work
Mm.
at it. And then, of course, I learned to love it the more I did it over
Yeah,
time
yeah.
with arranging vocals and hearing myself do harmonies or harmonizing with other people. And that took off from there. And then that led into us doing like performances around town. There
Mhm.
was a couple people that was instrumental to us getting around town performing. And one was a lady by the name of Dr. Lily Quinn, who was a dentist out of
Yes.
Stanford. And she would
Mhm.
take us and a girl group she put together. One of the girls used to work for 102 Jams named April D. And her
Yes.
husband, Kyle LaRue. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so they had a girl group. We went to high school together. Brian McKnight went to high school with us for a little bit
Mhm.
before shifting to Edgewater. He might not tell that story, but he did. Yeah, I remember when he did a talent show and got booed, and that's the truth. Yeah,
Get
and I
out.
felt
He was
bad.
a Trojan too.
Yeah, I wanted to fight. I wanted to fight when they was booing him. Yeah,
Oh,
fight somebody.
man.
I'm like, y'all ain't gonna be booing Brian. He up here
Yeah.
killing it. But
So no wonder he loves coming back to Orlando
he
so
should.
much.
His family was raised there. They went to church
Yes.
over there in Eatonville.
Yes. Not only that, but this is a "I'll show you" kind of moment.
Yeah,
Think about it.
absolutely. They
You know what I
should.
mean?
He should. He's so
Yeah, so
dope
he
and such
comes
an
back
inspiration.
often.
He
Mhm.
should. He really
He's
should.
here this Friday, whenever the 28th is. That is Friday. He's
Friday,
here
yeah.
at Hard Rock Live then.
He should. He's incredible. Brian
He
McKnight is
is.
incredible. And along with him at that church, some of the members of Take Six.
See?
Yeah.
His brothers.
Yeah.
Let me just stop for a moment and show you on my wall of
Oh
fame, and
my
I need
God.
a picture of you, Rob, but this is B. Yep, this is B right here, and it says, "To Monica, thank
Wow.
you so much for everything. See you again soon. It
Wow.
was by far my best interview." And
Wow.
that was as I was a programmer in Montgomery, Alabama at the time. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh
that's
my God.
that's B Mac. B-Mac, as I call him. Yes, yes, yes. And I
Yeah.
just happen to have that like right here handy.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow.
I need a picture of you right
Right
here
there.
handy.
Yes, we're gonna have to do that.
You know, so as we're talking about Black Music Month,
Okay.
I wanted to just encourage people that if you have a dream in your heart and it is to sing, then that is what you need to do.
Yeah.
If you have been told, it's okay, then just work
Yeah,
to
that's what
protect
it
your
is.
craft. But
Yeah.
don't let that dream die
Yeah.
because suppose Brian had let those boos make him just stop like that. We would
That's right.
never know the Brian McKnight that we know today. And
That's
I'm sure Rob, capital A-A-B, has had some tender moments in
L
his life.
listen,
Have you?
I
Yeah.
can tell you when
Mhm.
Dr. Quinn, she had booked us a gig in, I wanna say Miami, Florida,
Okay.
and this is when bass music was really,
Oh, yeah.
really hitting Luke, and it was a Luke set. And
Mhm.
so me and my guys, Tracy Ray, we had on these black and white Jodeci looking outfits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the girl group, they came on first, they performed. And of course, all the guys were like, going
Uh-huh.
crazy over the girls. But when we got up there, it was the choice between seeing some guys on stage or having the Luke dancers come up on stage after us.
Mm,
We
mm.
got booed right on the boo, boo, boo off the stage.
Ah, did you wind up performing though?
No, they were gonna kill us.
Oh my
Now, if
goodness.
we didn't get off that stage, man, we would have got beat up. Yeah,
Let
all
me
of
tell
us.
you.
And our
Mm.
ooh yeahs on stage. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
They wasn't ready for the "Ooh, yeah."
No, they like the girl group, but when it got closer to them Luke dancers, if you know anything about them, you want to see the Luke dancers. Yeah.
Let me
In
tell
fact,
you. Go ahead.
we got off stage and went right back there, stood in the audience, like, yes, they are good. Man, these girls are good.
Ah, them girls are good. I like
They
them girls.
good.
One of those girls may have been my morning show producer for Point of View, Niecy D.
Niecy
Because
D,
if you
okay.
remember, she
Wow.
was a Luke dancer at one point. So, I know Rob as an artist.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to play one of your songs from back in the day in just a
Uh-oh.
second.
Uh-oh.
And then we're going to follow that up with what did you do after that?
Okay,
Okay.
fantastic.
So if my producer can cue that up and just pop it in whenever you're ready. I wanted to know as a question, when did you realize that you wanted to switch roles from in front of the mic to
Mhm.
behind the console?
Uh,
I
well,
want you to think about that for a moment,
okay.
and, I wanna see if my producer is right here.
Oh,
This was
boy.
the jam. This was the
Girl,
jam.
take my hand. It will lead to romance. Please don't you worry. Girl, I will please you. I won't tease you because come on, babe. Why don't you wait with me? Come on, oh, baby, oh,
I'm loving your face.
That was my first time behind the camera like that. It was so funny. They told me to do something with my eyes.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what to do with my fingers, my hands, or anything. I was just new,
Wow.
just
Wow.
just new
So
to it all. And then they was like, okay, they're gonna pass you the ball. Now, mind you, I played football, I did gymnastics, basketball really wasn't my thing. But it was like, yo, this is gonna be a basketball thing. I was like, well, don't try and get me to cross nobody over. It ain't happening. And so they passed me the ball. They probably hit me in the head a couple times. And then they was like, the camera's gonna zoom into your eyes like that. Do something with them. All I could do was go. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Rob,
So when you
you
go
are
back,
so
I mean, it was a beautiful time. I mean, it was like you birthed something out of like a song like this, and it had the impact that it had. It was just overwhelmingly emotionally beautiful. It really
yeah,
was. I remember
yeah,
the first time Bartell. I don't know if you
yeah.
remember him, right?
Bartell and I were at 102 Jams at the same time. So yeah, he was afternoons. Yeah.
That's right. And he broke the record. And Bruce Bebop, that
Yep.
actually had it on the Quiet Storm, people
Yes.
kept requesting it at night. I was listening to it just play, and I requested it maybe one time, but
Uh-huh.
every night I would just turn the Quiet Storm on, and Bruce Bebop was like, "Yo, this might be Rob's family calling in, requesting the song all night. We don't play it for the third time." That's when we had something special, and then we went and did that we played Light Up Orlando in Orlando. And what was crazy about that was my group, Tracy Ray. We used to always hang out downtown at Church Street Station.
Mhm,
My group, Tracy Ray with Tyrone Wilson, we would
mhm.
all be down there singing and draw up a crowd. And then people started throwing money out. I'm like, hey, we can do this every Friday and Saturday, make a few dollars. I could pay my rent or pay money towards it. And we would have that. And then Light Up Orlando was downtown. It had like
Mhm,
a lot of people that would show up for this event. And I remember coming out to perform Foreplay, and I didn't really realize the impact that it was having,
mhm.
not only over the city, but over the whole state.
Mm.
I wasn't even thinking, the East Coast all the way up to New York being able to perform.
Nationally,
It
Rob,
was really
nationally.
it was taking off quickly. And we hadn't even have, I think the record dropped they dropped it at Jack the Rapper, August
Mhm.
the 11th, because I remember that's when Barry's birthday is.
What year?
That was 93,
Mhm,
Jack
mhm.
the Rapper. And they dropped the record there, and we didn't have a single in the stores until October.
Yeah.
but it was just taken off that fast.
Let
Yeah,
me put a pin right there and say that what you're hearing is just the real background story of,
yeah,
okay, you think so, you think you got talent,
yeah, yeah,
and then you pursue that,
yeah,
and then someone somewhere will hear you.
yeah,
For us,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for us, that's how it was happening. And then sometimes that foreplay that you do literally gets that zing, that zest, and it takes off. But
That's good. I'm
that's
sorry.
it. Were you ready for that?
I was not. We weren't ready. We were literally bare bones, an independent label, just like that. I remember just going to the house, and in all honesty, Foreplay wasn't even written for me. I was
Wow.
writing Foreplay for my brother's group, my younger brother Jesse, and what was his group? Selah. That was the name of them.
Okay.
Dennis, Alan, my brother Jesse Stevenson, and I was like, "Yo, I got this deal situation over here. I'm gonna write this song for y'all, da 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 da, and then I
Uh-huh.
want to introduce y'all to the label because the stuff that we were writing was nowhere near what Foreplay was. Yeah, and so when I asked them to come up to the studio and to sing this song that I wrote, that was when Barry and Lewis was like, "Hey, man, we need to do that for your album. We'll have them sing background on it,
Mhm.
featuring them. But yeah,
Mhm.
this needs to be your first single." And that's how Foreplay came to life. You'll hear
This
my brother when it goes, girl, take my hand, I'll do your romance. I'll do anything for you. Yeah. That's my brother doing that lick and
Uh-huh.
them singing the backgrounds all the way through the song. And then when it gets to I Want You, Do You Want Me? That's Dennis Winston,
Okay.
who works in Orlando. Yeah. So just giving them props. Yeah.
What old school artists did you look up to?
No Edition. Hands
Mm.
down. I got more whoopings off of now, just so you know, my mom, if you ever watched The Water Boy, yeah,
Okay.
Bobby Boucher's mama,
Yeah.
that was my mom.
Bobby
Yeah.
Boucher. Yeah.
Yeah. My mom was like, "That's the devil." Yeah, no, you can't do that. Yeah. If it was secular, that's the devil. Don't you do that. Don't do that music.
Mhm.
You can't do any of that. And I remember my mom, she would get these big speakers and play Sandra Crouch, the whole Color Purple soundtrack on it. But
Mhm.
when mama wasn't home, where our apartment in the Palms, right there where
Mhm.
the pool they turned into a playground, I would
Yeah.
put those speakers up and turn up Luke. I ain't know no better. Hey, we want some man. And everybody in the neighborhood, it was all musical. I
Uh-huh.
remember Cedric, Omar, Kiki, all these cats,
Mhm.
playing and singing down there. And then Rodney Johnson, who was a DJ also,
Mhm.
he lived downstairs, and me and my brother's bedroom was above his because we got to hear him spin records all the time.
Yeah.
So that was my window to the world of secular music. But
Uh-huh.
man, I remember one time I was playing "Hey, we want some,"
Mhm. Mhm.
and my friends, they were dancing, and then they started to run because they knew my mama didn't play. I didn't see my mom; it was up so loud. She was standing in the window right there by me while I was going like that. I got the beating of a
Oh
lifetime.
my God. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
We're
but
talk Go ahead.
yeah, but in instances like that, I was just always about just music. Period. I
Mhm.
didn't care what genre it was. Well, not unless they were talking about worshiping the devil. I ain't want no parts of that.
Well, of course. Of
Yeah, but
course.
it was always the positive, inspirational, or fun. Let's have a good time. Beastie Boys, Run DMC. Yeah, I probably got more just off of that. I wasn't a bad child, but if I was bad, that's what I was doing. Yeah,
Mm.
as a kid. Yeah.
So who have you worked with to date? Now, this is as a producer, and you also say something else in your titling. Um let's think of it. You say not a choreographer, but you are
I'm a
more than a
vocal
producer.
Yeah, I'm a vocal coach, artist developer,
Uh-huh.
vocal arranger,
Yeah.
a voice coach. So if you think of any type of sport like basketball, where are the coaches and training staff? They're sitting right behind the bench or in the locker room watching everything on TV.
Mhm.
Football, they're on the sidelines. Golf, it might be the caddy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So as a voice coach, that's what I do for singers. I help strengthen the voice, condition the voice, prep them for studio work, film, just did a movie project with a big producer,
Okay.
working with the artists on that. That'll should be coming out this fall. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but making sure artists are able to do that. I'm actually on the road with, I would say, several artists, but out with one. But I can work with a lot of them online. So I'll go back to my dressing room, jump online and warm up. Let's say, for instance, like a Chris Stapleton before he hits the stage, or a Jason Isbell before he hit the stage, or a SZA before she hits the stage. I've just been blessed to work with so many artists. Or like, for instance, this year at the ACMs, the Country Music Awards, I was there with Kane Brown, who's actually doing an arena tour, Chris Stapleton, who's actually doing an arena/stadium tour, and Lainey Wilson, who's just mayhem in the world of country, and then got to work with Jelly Roll for the first time at the award show before he went on stage to perform. Yeah. And all of them were up for Entertainer of the Year that night and performed that night. So that's just in the world of country. And then the audience was the Warren Treaty, Michael, and Tanya Trotter. Tanya Trotter, if you don't know who she is, she was Tanya Blunt. So me and her, when we were artists coming out back in the day, we would run into each other doing shows. And then one day I came off the road and she was a worship leader at my church, New Birth South. And then she moved to Texas and started doing some other things. Then I met her and her husband, and they're crushing it in the world of Americana/country. So they're killing the game. Little Big Town, Zach Brown Band, who's on a stadium tour with Kenny Chesney, Dave Matthews Band, who's on tour, Fish, who just crushed the Sphere 2 months ago and who's getting ready to kick off their tour, One Republic, Justin Timberlake, who's actually out on tour right now. And then when I can't be with him, my partner, Mindy Pack, she's actually out there with him. It's a lot. I'm grateful.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
grateful is where you are right now. The transitioning, though, from artist to vocal coach and producer, and the man that just makes sure that your sound is correct.
Yeah.
How was that switch? How did you make that transition?
It was challenging at first because for a couple things. When I got into the music industry, remember, I left home at an early age, and my junior and senior year, I was living with my girlfriend. We were supporting each other, and she's amazing. She's the mother of 3 of my beautiful daughters. Yeah, and they're doing incredible things. And at that time, I had left and moved to Atlanta to work on a group project, and the group was called 911. And one of the other mentors of mine was in this group doing what I call the Guy era. Teddy Riley's Guy group.
Yeah,
and then the rival group that was signed to Gene Griffin, who actually managed Guy and a lot of other groups, and also managed Basic Black. So the lead singer of that, they had a song called Nothing But a Party, Special Kind of Fool. Well, him and Aaron.
I'm familiar, yeah.
Yeah, Daryl Adams and Aaron Hall, they're first cousins, and they used to sing in church together. And so when the opportunity came up for Mucho, who was the producer and member of that group, Basic Black, he wound up doing a remix on my album, the title track, You're the One. And when he heard me, he was like, hey, man, I'm working on a group project. And at that time, I had an offer to go over to the UK and do some dates over there as a solo artist. Or I could do this group project, have my solo project out and a group project out, because I love singing with other guys. I didn't have no problem with that. So, and then plus it was with Daryl Adams, who was one of my vocal heroes, and then Mucho, incredible producer, the closest thing to Teddy. Because in Teddy's camp, he had him, he had Rodney Jerkins, he had Pharrell. Yeah, all of them was working at his studio in Virginia Beach. And at that point, I was like, yo, this might be something that I would love to do. And I joined the group, and it was supposed to be me, Daryl, Mucho, and the artist Joe. All of us were supposed to do it together.
As in D-Joe that we know today?
I'm in love.
Wow. Yeah.
We were supposed to do the group project together, but for whatever reason, Joe's label, if they couldn't have the project, they just wanted to keep him solo. And I'm sure he was doing good just being solo by himself. Yeah, he didn't have to split no money between nobody. And I get it. It's business. It is what it is.
It is.
if all of us would have joined forces, we would have been uh, a really dope group together. All
Yes.
lead singers, yeah, it's been a problem.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah,
What is it that can make you all gel? And what is it that makes you want to split and do your other things or whatever? Because, like you said, we would have been such a special force altogether.
business.
Mm,
I mean,
bottom line.
I can't speak for Joe, but on a business side of things, if he's having success as a solo artist, why would he want to do a group project? And at that time, I didn't mind it, because
Mhm,
Foreplay was doing really well, and we was getting into a place where it could have gone even further. But
mhm.
once again, we didn't have the backing of a major label either. So I was like, yo, if we can create this sounds like a good idea, that we could do both if we can pull it off. But one of the things that makes it challenging is business at the end of the day. And for me, even when I did the group project, we had a song called Cutie that was really good by 911. That was what we called ourselves. And the song was really, really strong. And for whatever reason, the group kind of fell out with my
Wow.
label, independent label, Rip It Records. That was by Barry and Lewis.
Mhm,
And Teddy Riley picked up the group. But
mhm.
then at that time, I was so frustrated with the industry that I walked completely away from it all. I literally just I was like, ah, it's just too much. Yeah. And
Mm,
so I offered the job to Tyrone
mhm,
Wilson.
mhm.
And I believe they flew him up to meet with him to see if they had chemistry, da 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 da. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. And me and Ty had a conversation, and we both knew this other singer from out of Tampa named Marcus Vance, who's super talented. And
Uh-huh.
me and him were friends throughout the years. And I was like, yo, here's an opportunity. He's really dope. We have a similar sound, and here's an opportunity for you. And they flew him up, and then he continued on with the group. Now,
Okay.
majority of the album I had already recorded and written, co-written like at least 6 to 7 of the songs, that later on when the group disbanded, Guy winded up using some of them and
Wow.
yeah,
Did you
Black,
get paid?
huh?
Did you get paid from Guy if they used your songs?
Nah. In fact, I was
Wow.
kind of etched out of the credit of even having anything to do with some of the songs, to be honest with
Oh, wow. But see, okay,
you. Yeah,
my dad, I'm a musician's kid.
yeah,
So some of what you're saying really, 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 I understand because I saw
yeah,
it, witnessed it.
yeah,
This industry is cruel. And sometimes you do have to step away for a moment to
yeah.
really find your value again.
That's
And
right.
that
Right.
reinvention moment is what we're talking about that has happened and propelled your career.
Yeah.
And I just want to be one of the many who stands on the sideline and just says, I am so very proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
the fact that you never let your artistry die
Yeah.
and
Thank
you enhanced your brand
you. Yeah.
by bringing what you do for yourself to
Yeah.
the table for other people.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
big thing right there.
Yeah.
So
God's
let's
great.
talk about that reinvention moment. We're going longer than 30, so I hope you're
All
okay
right.
with that.
No, I'm
My
good. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my producer said, "That's okay. This interview is really good," in all caps. So,
Praise God.
you
Well,
know,
just briefly. So when I left the industry, I went back. The girl I was dating at the time, she was a school teacher. I was like, you know what? Maybe we could do something together. We could have vacations off at the same time. I like working with kids. I like inspiring the youth. To get them to stay focused and on whatever their vision is and help guide them. So I went back to
mhm,
school and to get a degree in middle grades education. And while I was in school, I met a couple friends, one in particular, Nelson Gray, and he played the piano, church
mhm,
musician, and we would have breaks in between classes, and we would go down to the music department and just sit in one of the music booths, practice booths, and just create songs. And I look forward to every week. After
mhm,
leaving the industry, that was God calling me back into it slowly. I just had no idea what was going
mhm,
on until the music director or over the department, the professor over the department, he asked me, was I a part of the music program? And I was like, no. And I thought we was in trouble. He's like, yo, you should come and audition. Yeah.
yeah,
And I was like,
uh-huh,
no, I'm not trying to do classical again. I'm good. I'm good on that.
mhm,
And he was like, well, we got scholarship money if you want any of that. And I was like, I'll be there tomorrow. Where do I sign up?
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
Dr.
yes.
Sean Amos gave me a shot at that. I had a partial scholarship the first year into everything. That's when I started getting the calls from Diesel or Daryl, the guy that was in the group 911 with me,
Uh-huh.
who stayed in Virginia Beach working with Teddy as an in-house producer, along with all the other incredible producers that were there in-house. And Justin Timberlake was just finishing up his solo album, and in the studio mixing it with Pharrell and a music producer or engineer named Serban. And they had a relationship with Daryl and called Daryl down to the studio. He went out to dinner with Timberlake, and Timberlake hired him right on the spot as a background vocalist. And at that time, I was on the verge of moving back home to Orlando because things really weren't working out for me at the time here in Atlanta. And I had rededicated my life to Christ. And in my closet, I was frustrated with God, to be honest with you. And I was crying out, and I was like, you gave me this gift, and all it's ever done was bring sadness to me. You know, I always wanted to do the right thing. I wasn't trying to abuse nobody. I wanted to help everybody I could help out, put them on like that. And in that instance, there was silence. And I was like, God, you can have the gift back because it ain't serving me at all. And there was just silence. And then I started thinking about how much joy singing really was bringing me. And I said, okay, well, maybe if you become my manager, everything will be all right. What you got?
What
and
you got?
And immediately I got a call from, well, actually I went to church and I saw a friend of mine, Zach Scott, who was brothers to Walter Scott, Mucho Scott, who was in the group 911. And he was like, yo, Diesel been trying to get in touch with you. And I was like, my number is still the same. Well, he could call me. And he called me that night and he said, hey, he got an opportunity to go and sing background for Justin Timberlake. And I was like, that's great. I said, if you see Johnny Wright, who also lives in Orlando, who was the manager of NSYNC,
Yes.
Backstreet Boys, you know, all of them.
Yes.
I said, if you get in touch with Johnny, tell Johnny I'm getting ready to move. I'm considering moving back home to Orlando. And I knew he had an artist compound there. And I was like, I'll intern. If he had looking for interns, I'll take out trash and do whatever. And during my solo artist days, I didn't know that he was trying to find me to sign me or to get me signed to Jive and all these other labels. I had no idea about that during that time. And then he was like, yeah, I haven't seen no Johnny Wright. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, great. And he was like, well, they told me to come and find the other guy. I was like, that's fantastic. It didn't even hit me upside the head. I say, so who you gonna call? He said, you big dummy. Just like that. And I said, oh, okay.
I'm ready.
I was like, if it works out, it works out. Now, mind you, I was out on another gig and Daryl called me to come and sing background with him with Uncle Charlie. And they had me to audition on the phone. And for whatever reason, that didn't work out. And it's okay. And so when I got this call from him about Justin, I was thinking in the same vein, not thinking negatively. I was like, if it happens, it happens. God's my manager now. So if it goes down, I'm cool. If it don't go down, God's just protecting me from these doors.
That's right.
And he called me and I went to church. I was singing on the praise team and I talked to my pastor and I was like, because I knew my pastor was going to be like my mom, right? Yeah. Like, that's the devil. You ain't going out nowhere. No Justin Timberlake is devil music. No. And so when I went in, I was like, hey, pastor, there's a chance that I might not be coming to sing at church for a while. I got a call to go and possibly sing back up for Justin Timberlake. And he said, oh, you're getting ready to do what? And I was like, yeah, got a call to go on the road with Justin Timberlake. And I kind of turned my head because I knew what he was going to say. I knew he was going to be like, yo, you can't do that. That's against everything biblical. But instead, he was like, when do I get tickets? And I was like, huh?
Okay.
I was like, what? And then I was like, what do you mean? He was like, look, man, let me tell you how God works. We think God only reigns within 4 walls of this church. God isn't like that. God has a lot of lost sheep in the world of darkness, and he sends soldiers out to go ahead and reel them home. He said, that's my assignment. Yeah. And it's been my assignment ever since. So, yeah.
That is you. We were not even expecting to talk about this kind of a story, but I am so grateful.
I have to.
Because myself, my producer, we are all his children.
Absolutely.
And that is what I say with this podcast. That is what I say with my career. I
Yeah.
walked away from radio the week after Tom Joyner left
Wow.
because I knew that I had served the purpose that I was put into radio
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
It had served me well for 40 plus years, believe it or not. It is
Wow.
the one gig that I stayed true blue to, and I moved all over the country.
Yeah.
But it is also the career that helped me put my child through college,
Yep.
that helped me,
Oh yeah.
so it had done what I needed it to do.
Yeah.
And then I found me all over again. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this reimagination period of my life has been the greatest. So
Yeah.
this reimagining of Rob and his many talents
Yeah.
has been before
Oh
the
yeah.
Lord,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
that is what has kept you.
And still
Re-
happening.
yep, I was getting
It's
ready to say
still happening.
relevancy
Yeah.
just happens
Yeah.
over and over. It's repeatedly. And if I may say this, yesterday I was on my way to the station to have this talk show there called Monica May's Point of View on Star.
Yeah.
So I usually get to the studio, whether the first hour is pre-recorded or not, at the same time between 5:30 and
Yeah.
5:45.
Yeah.
Now, I walk up the walkway, and I actually did a video of it. And I said, I'm just grateful.
Yeah.
Many people would not feel like that early in the morning. But even when I was doing Tom's production, it's like I would be grateful going into this building alone on many mornings, other than the news team.
Yeah.
But when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, no matter what it pays or what, you just come to slay all
Yeah.
day
That's right.
and you do what you need to do. So I
Yeah.
would say that we're totally blessed because he gave us the gift, and my
Yeah.
gift is communication. I just talk for a living. And
Yeah.
you sing, you coach, you
That's
do
right.
all the things that gets a team member ready.
Yeah.
And that is where your relevancy comes in, my brother.
Praise God for that.
That is where your relevancy comes in. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say, could you just sing me anything right now? Anything that comes to your head,
Uh,
anything. Am I
uh,
putting you on the spot?
no, no, no.
Good.
I'm just
Oh,
trying to think of the right song to sing. Let me see. Okay. If I were a drummer, I would use a cymbal. If I was a writer, I would use a pencil. I would use my voice if I was a singer. No matter who or what we are, we must praise. Yeah.
oh my God. I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
That's one of
And
my
these
favorite
last, and one of my favorites too. One of
songs.
my favorites too.
Yeah. Awesome.
Who is it that you want to work with now in the industry? Because your career is not done. In fact, you have just
Yeah.
reimagined.
You know what? It's funny. I would like a chance. There's a lot of them. I would like to work with Bono. I
Okay.
would like to work with Bon Jovi. I would like to work with Beyonce to see what that's like. No disrespect to her coach. It would be fun. I work with Kelly and I've worked with Michelle, which is a blessing. And Kelly,
Mhm.
incredible
She
vocalist,
is.
doesn't get
Mhm.
the just due that she does or deserve. That Here I Am album got a song on
Mhm.
there called Put Your Name on It and Red Wine. That's all I got to say. Incredible. And I got to work with her to help prep her for that album as well.
Uh-huh.
Some of the best work out there.
Mhm.
I would love to work with Mariah and Celine. I would love a shot at
Okay.
that.
I
Mhm.
love it. And Celine is reimagining right now.
Oh yeah.
She's coming back to us. She's had some health issues.
Yeah.
In these last 60 seconds, Rob, what would you offer an artist today? What advice would you offer them?
Mm. I know you guys see the glitz and glamour. That's great to see it from the outside, but what you don't see is the hard work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the access to social media that I think can be life or death for an artist. Meaning, if they deal with anxiety, being on a phone, watching what everybody's saying behind their keyboards is not healthy for an artist. So if you can just stay focused and maybe use that as fuel to be better in your craft, it'll all pay off in the long run. Don't wait for somebody to invest in you. Your biggest investor is you. If you're going to raise some money or you're waiting on money to show up, don't do it. You'll be waiting a long time and you'll be owing somebody. God gave you this gift. Go ahead and invest in your own self. If you don't have to go and spend $12 to $2,000 to hold a 6-hour block at a major recording studio. You can save up some money. You can get an Apollo Twin. You can get a MIDI keyboard. You can get a microphone. You can get all those things for under $2,000 that you spend for a 6-hour block time, and then learn how to go on YouTube, and y'all do it already, and learn how to mix and master your own stuff. I worked with an independent artist last night named Russ, Russ.
Okay.
Truly independent artist. He just sold out the United Center last night. The house that Michael Jordan built.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's been
yeah.
on an arena tour all summer long so far, crushing it. And he learned how to mix, learned how to master his own stuff. He just put out his second book, which is a New York Times bestseller, and talking about the music industry. It's All in Your Head is his first book. I tell every artist, young artist that I work with, to get that book and read it 10 times before we have another conversation. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't say the next time that you are here in Orlando, I have a bistro.
Okay.
It's a small, intimate jazz space in Metro West.
Okay.
It's called CB Bistro. And CB stands for Catering's Best. My husband is a phenomenal chef from Chicago, and we met here on a blind date years ago. And the story is that by our second date, I was telling him, not asking him, but telling him that I was going to be his next wife.
Okay.
That's his side of the story. But I walked in the door on our blind date and I said, "Thank you, Lord. There is my husband."
Wow.
We have been so good for each other. We have pushed each other to to platforms that we probably individually might not have ever reached.
Yes. Wow.
A good mate is important in this industry because that's the person who's going to tell you, that wasn't right.
My wife, she don't play that. And we work together. She does all the contracts and the business side of it, but I'm better because of my wife.
There you go. So I would say, and I said that because the women are going to come. The guys are going to come.
That's right.
Get you to the point where you don't need that kind of adoration and focus on your microphone. That's your bread. That's your butter. That's your blessing.
That's right.
All right.
That's
so
right.
I'm inviting you back. We have each other's phone numbers.
Yes.
If you ever want to take the stage and just whatever, we're going to talk about that a little bit more offline, but you have an open stage right here in Orlando.
Thank you.
Oh, man, it has been my pleasure to be blessed to have a conversation with you today, Rob, for Black Music Month.
Thank you.
We left it on the floor today. We left it on the floor.
We did. I am so honored that you would even take time to even do this with me. And if I can, I would like to shout out all of the students at E High, Evans High School. Or I'm trying not to get emotional. Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
I had my first child when I was in high school. Her name is Sherelle. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Take your time.
And people counted me out during that time. And they were like, yo, you got a kid, it's over, you're working at this spot. And if you notice, some of my sayings are always in my quotes and as God is, so people can stir up the conversation on what is that God is? What does God mean to me? Or what does that mean to you, Rob? And it opens up that space. But anytime it's time for me to go to work, I always put up time to make the donuts. My girlfriend, she worked at the donut shop across the street from Evans for many years while we were in high school, putting each other through school. I worked the late night shift. I was terrible at making donuts because I put too much jelly in the donuts and got in trouble time to time. So I always put that in when it's time for me to go to work with an artist out of town or anywhere. So I would say to those kids that are going through something like that, it ain't over.
Yeah.
Stay the course, you know, stay
Mm.
focused. Don't let nobody stop you. You know, God is my manager. Whoever you choose to be yours, believe in that strongly and just keep putting in the work. I'm always blown away by what's happening. But then when I look back at the preparation to get to where I am, and I'm still studying as if I'm just beginning. I
Yeah.
learned that from working with Pharrell. I learned
Uh,
that from working with Trey Anastasia or Dave Matthews. They still work as if they haven't made $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So if you can continue to stay focused, you know, I didn't get to walk with my graduating class. I had to go to summer school and get my diploma, but I got it.
mhm.
Don't let it stop you. We won't be stopped. We can't be.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Rob, thank you so much for
Thank
taking the moment, not
you.
finding it robbery
Yes.
to just spill it. You spilled some tea. I got to tell you that much. And thank you for being a guest this evening on One Take Live.
You got it. Thank you, Monica.
Oh my God. Everyone, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Please help us spread the word. Tap like and click the share button to invite your family, your friends, and your followers. You got followers too to be a part of our conversations. One Take live streams every Thursday evening, 6:30, like clockwork. We're on Facebook, YouTube, we're on Spotify, Apple, or any of your favorite streaming platforms. We thank you all for spending the time, like I said, once again, and enjoying Monica May's One Take Live. Be good to yourself.